I'd love to hear your experience because I always love to hear all parents' experiences of how they navigated the kind of the medical world with doctors, professionals, everything like that. Because
Sure.
obviously you've been, you knew at 3 years old with Rocco that he had autism. I'm sure you went through different types of practitioners and everything, giving different diagnoses or looking at it differently. What was the experience like overall for you?
Well, I will say I probably had a healthy distrust of Western medicine long before that. And also an appreciation
Good
of it
start.
too. Right. An appreciation of it too. Like had
Yeah.
broken bones when I was a kid. So
Oh, yeah.
thankful there was a hospital for me to go to get those fixed. Right. Like not
Yeah.
knocking that at all.
Mm.
But I remember when I was in college and I was dealing with anxiety and I was having my tonsils out at 21 years old and I was, dealing with seasonal allergies that no doctor could fix, thinking like, there's got to be a way to fix this. And I remember I knew I was fed up when I was at Boston University, went to this amazing allergist in Boston. And their solution to me was to leave my windows closed from March until November. And I was thinking, I have to leave the house, right? Like I have to open the door and go to class and I have to get a job over the summer and I have to go outside. Isn't it healthy to get fresh air? And something just felt so wrong to me. I didn't have any other solutions at the time. I just
Mm.
knew this doesn't feel right. And so I was spending some time in Long Island. My husband and I were dating for less than a year and he had already graduated. So I would go visit him on the weekends and vice versa. And I was going to yoga studios around to take class when he was at work. And one of the studios had an acupuncturist there. And I had never had acupuncture before. And I remember telling the owner of this studio, the yoga teacher, what I was experiencing with my allergies. And if I went into a room with a cat, it was like itching,
Mhm.
eyes watering, couldn't wear makeup. I looked like a raccoon. It was so uncomfortable. I was literally like crawling out of my own skin. And I thought there's got to be something here. And so she said, book an acupuncture appointment on this day, because on this day, the acupuncturist teacher comes too, and they have an herbal clinic and they talk about herbs that might be able to help you too. So I booked the appointment. I went. First thing the guy said to me was, have you ever given up dairy? And I said, no. Does that do something? What? And because
Yep.
why did no doctor tell me to try that? Not even spoken about. Diet was never spoken about. And so I got an acupuncture treatment. They gave me herbal mixtures to help me with the allergy symptoms while we strengthened my immune system with acupuncture. They gave me some dietary changes to make. Cutting out dairy was one. I was a different person in probably 3 days.
Hmm.
And I remember my mom, who's a nurse. She was a nurse at Boston University too. You probably met her back in the day. Being so impressed that I was feeling better so quickly with holistic solutions. She was starting to get fed up on my behalf. Well, why didn't the allergist make this? Why does no one talk about this? So then that was the cascade of me going into yoga in a much richer way. I did my first cleanse at 22 and felt like a different person again and started exploring what foods made me feel good, not feel good. 20 years later, still exploring that. So I had many years of exploring healing on my own in holistic communities before I became a parent. I had both my kids at home with a midwife. I'm so grateful I made that choice. I can't imagine where Rocco would be had his early months been full of unnecessary interventions and medications and whatnot. So again, going back and thanking my 28-year-old self for doing what I did. And I always looked at what's the right mix for my family of asking questions. I always just looked for practitioners who were going to listen to me because I knew by that point, I knew a thing or two about healing and diet and how my body worked and how doctors didn't help me. And then grateful for the practitioners and the other doctors who did. And so I really looked for pediatrician specialists who listened to me. And ultimately, one of the doctors who I work with now and have for many years with Rocco is my favorite doctor because he says, when a mom comes in here, and he only works with kids with needs, when a mom comes in here and says, something's not right with my kid, we do not stop until we find the thing that she's talking about. And sometimes you find it on day one. Sometimes it takes you 3 months to find it, but she's always right because no one knows her kid better than mom. And he said, and I've seen too many doctors tell the mom she's crazy
Mhm.
and send her home. And so for me, that was the most important thing. I wanted a doctor who I could communicate with, or a specialist of any kind who took me seriously, just like I take them seriously. And that for me was hugely important. And I'm really grateful to have found those people,
Oh,
because
so important.
it's essential, right?
Yeah, I was watching this Netflix documentary the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, Take Care of Maya.
No. Oh, I've
Okay.
heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, someone told me to watch. It was difficult to
Yeah.
watch, as someone that knows, like, the medical side of it, and, like, and you see, like, it's a girl going through some rare kind of condition, and the parents are trying to figure it out and going to specialists. They don't know. They're told it's in her head. It's anxiety. She just has panic attacks, but this girl's in lots of pain and just struggling, and, it ends up they go to, like, a ketamine specialist who puts her in, like, in a ketamine coma, and it's multiple days, but she has to go to the hospital, and the hospital says, "You're abusing her with the ketamine." They take her away. The mother commits suicide.
Heard this. Terrible.
Awful, but, like, you see just the letdown on so many levels, and you feel the pain of a parent just trying to do the best by their child. But to me, it was like, I could even understand some ketamine treatment for some very, very rare condition, everything, but why not try acupuncture first? Why not exhaust solutions that may not kill the child? Because it literally, the doctor was like, "This may kill the child and change them forever." It's like, well, can we try, like, other things? And unfortunately, too many people, parents, everything, feel they've exhausted themselves, but the awareness is not there that there are hundreds of other solutions they could still try.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel they really could have become empowered, but every doctor is like, "Nothing left. You have no solutions. This is it." And it's like, I just wanted to be like, reach out to the be like, "There's so many things out there." And I
So
think that's a really important message, like you're saying, is that continue to try, be very aware, do it on yourself too. Experience
yeah.
acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic, like energy medicine, spiritual practices, yoga, meditate, and the list goes on and on. Experience those things so that if ever your child needs something, you can lean on some of those and go up the ladder, down the ladder, all around
Yeah.
before you might make a drastic decision that forever changes everything into the future. So, it's really wonderful to hear parents such as you, your husband, that are trying so many different things, and then, able to navigate a little bit better when things go, wrong for a child.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are stressed about, they're paying for health insurance. And if you're like me, health insurance doesn't cover the things you want to do or
Yeah.
that you need to do
Yeah.
more anyway. And the way I approach it is, one, have a great accountant, because medical write-offs are a thing and they will tell you.
Yes, absolutely.
So keep track of that stuff.
Yeah.
It helps you. Two,
Mhm.
look at the money people invest in their house or their car. You live in this house 24 hours a day and you only get one.
Yeah.
If your car breaks down, gets totaled, you can buy another one. You can't buy another one of these. So I never bat an eyelash at investing. Sometimes it's like, all right, this is a big thing. I better take this
Mhm.
seriously. But I never bat an eyelash at investing in health and well-being, because it allows you to enjoy everything else so much more fully. And certainly with Rocco, I've seen him perform so much better in school.
Mm.
He's a very sensitive biome. And so I can immediately notice, if the sleep goes awry, I'm like, oh, maybe it's time to get blood work done or something.
Mhm.
I can really see how investing in his health allows him to do things that people have told me were impossible. He goes to a typical school. He's in 8th grade there. He's in a special ed class, but he's an extrovert. He loves being around people. He
Mm.
is regulating himself. And that's not to say he never has a behavior, but when he has one, that's an indication to me that something isn't feeling right with
Mhm.
him. And we look at what that could be. And I just imagine how uncomfortable he would be in his own body if he were eating foods that didn't serve him, that were making him break out and, have skin issues. And we saw that when he was little, as we started trying different things. So we could see with our own eyes how fast the healing response was when you found the right
Mhm.
mix. And ditto with his supplements that he needs. None of it's arbitrary. It's all based on blood work and things that he needs. And I, to all the parents who are doing that already for their kids, bravo. And now go do it for yourself.
Yes, yes.
It's
Apply what you're doing to your child to yourself,
right,
right? That should
right.
be a unified front, that our health together, not your health,
Yeah.
my health, or anything. Our health is what
Yes.
really matters.
And one thing that is a commonality amongst parents of kids with needs that I didn't really notice until I started my consulting practice for them. Almost every single one will say at some point, I worry about what's going to happen to my child when I'm not here anymore.
Mm,
And that's something I don't hear parents of neurotypical kids talk about. But
mhm.
every parent to a kid with autism who can't communicate clearly, I hear them talk about it. So, what better way of caring for them than ensuring you're here and you're healthy and able to lead them and support them however they need as long as you possibly can? Doesn't it feel good to go to sleep every night knowing you're doing that with everything that you have? And you're going to be there for them as long as you can because of it, and be smart and set up the other things too for when you're not here. But
Mhm.
you do that anyway for your neurotypical kid, probably. So, or to some degree. So, why not take impeccable care of yourself now so that they have you as long as they can have you?
Your longevity and vitality is the greatest gift you could probably give to a child, I think, right? To be
Amen.
able to be there and be able to, as long as possible. And it isn't the greatest gift to you. You get extra years with your child. Like, I don't know what would be more valuable than that. That's literally no price tag on that.